Hello guys, it's Thunder here doing the Bakugan unboxing. This time we have Maxus Dragonoid. So, yeah, this is something I normally wouldn't cover, since usually nowadays, whenever I talk about Bakugan, it's Bakutech related, but somehow I've just never had Maxus Dragonoid in any capacity. If I had it, I'm sure I would have made a video on it back in like 2010, but I guess we're doing it in 2025. This thing's not even rare or expensive, so I don't know how I haven't gotten it until now, but here we are, so anyway, let me go ahead and open this up, and then we can take a look at all of the Bakugan and traps inside. Alright, I have everything out of the package now, so first up, we'll go ahead and start off with the cards. So interestingly, the seller did throw in two built-in gates here, but there it is. If you want to read that, you can. And we also, of course, have the Maxus Dragonoid ability card, so pretty interesting. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the actual Bakugan. So first up is Pyrus Neoroid. This is not the regular Neoroid, this is a special one for this Maxus set, but looks pretty interesting. So anyway, let's go ahead and check out how this actually opens up. Pretty basic, but should have some manual parts on here. We do have the feet and then the horns, so let's go ahead and get these out. Alright, there we go, those were kind of stuck, but anyway. In terms of G power, this thing is 650 Gs, so about what you'd expect from a new Estrella era Bakugan. Now to take a closer look, this thing does look really nice. I always liked these extra details here on the wings, always thought it was really cool. Just never got it for some reason, but yeah. Really nice looking Bakugan, but anyway, let's go ahead and check out the traps now. So first is Gracchus Hound. So for Gracchus Hound, you do have these legs here in the back, which I don't know how you get these out actually. Okay, it seems like you just kind of flip them out like this. Very interesting. Yeah, I'm going into this blind, by the way, so I apologize if it's a little lackluster in detail at points, but yeah, very interesting design there. Don't immediately see anything else that needs to be opened up, I don't think. I guess that can open up as well if you want it to, but interesting. This is actually a Subterra trap as well, which is pretty cool. You have Ventus in there too. It's awkward to see, but it's there. Oh, and apparently there's also a tail here that comes up. Also kind of stuck, but there we go. So that is the full version of Gracchus Hound, which pretty interesting. Not really standing up correctly, but that's fine. So, very interesting trap. I do like with Maxus Dragonoid in comparison to like some of the newer fusions like we saw in Geogon Rising. I feel like these traps actually look more like real creatures. Like I could see this being a trap that does get released on its own, not just part of a set for the sake of a fusion, if that makes any sense. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on. Next is Darkhound. So Darkhound should also have legs that kind of flip out from the back here. Yeah, they just open up in effectively the same kind of way. I believe there's also a tail here as well. Yeah, okay, there we go. So it's kind of similar. I guess you also have like these horns here that come up on this one. So, very similar design to the other Hound, which would make sense since they're kind of, you know, meant to act the same in the fusion. But yeah, this piece moves a little bit. But yeah, this one is Darkus, and inside it's like impossible to really see, but chaos, so pretty interesting trap, I would say. So that's it for the Hounds. Alright, so next up is Brachium, which opens up like that. As far as manual parts go, I'm not totally sure on this. Alright, it does appear like you have a couple on these sides. So these parts come up like that. And then the same for the other side as well. Alright, I do think that is everything for this one. Not my favorite design. This one's definitely a little bit more of kind of a fusion-specific trap. Like, it's not horrible or anything, it still looks decent, but the hounds are definitely better. Also, for attributes, this thing is Chaos with Darkness inside there. And next is its counterpart, Graphias. I think that's how you say it. Opens up in a fairly similar manner. Also, I believe the manual parts in this one are about the same, probably. Or yeah, they just kind of flip up as well. A little bit different, so that's interesting, but same general concept for this one. Might slightly prefer this one, but again, they're about the same. And also, yeah, this one is Aquas, and also you have the Pyrus inside there, so pretty interesting. Alright, next up we have Spitarm. So finally a different style of trap here. Very much triangular, which is interesting, but anyway. Thing opens up really, really nicely. It's sort of at an angle, but it kind of just jumps up to be in its correct orientation. It's a very cool design. I have, of course, seen videos of this thing before, and I just thought the way it opens is really cool. So it's nice to finally see that in person. Anyway, as far as manual parts go, not sure if there are any on here, actually. No, it doesn't look like it, so I believe it's just this, which is really cool. Everything just opens up. Functionally speaking, this is probably the coolest trap here. Just works really nicely. Everything opens up. I mean, just works. The design, it's decent, I would say. Nothing crazy, but still, I don't think it's bad. It is unique. It's also pretty large, which is interesting. Definitely one of the biggest traps we've had. So that is very cool. And as far as its attribute goes, it is Ventus, and then inside here you can see it is Subterra. So really, really interesting. And finally we have Spider Fencer. From images and videos, this might be my favorite design overall, so I guess we'll see if that holds true. But anyway, does open up pretty nicely. There are some manual parts. Yeah, you have all of these claws here. This might take a minute for me to get them all out, but they actually open up pretty easily. They don't seem to be stuck, unlike some of the other manual parts I've opened up so far. But alright, spoke a little too soon. That one was slightly harder to get out, but not terrible. Alright, and this one also was slightly stuck. Not bad though, but just took a second there. But yeah, I believe that's everything for Spider Fencer. So just taking a look at it, yeah, it does look really, really nice. Just another kind of larger trap with the legs out here. So pretty nice. I like the tail as well. Kind of a cannon. So very interesting trap for sure. I do like the design quite a bit. Isn't my favorite, honestly, probably. Again, this one very much looks like it could just be a regular trap release. Also does share some similarities with Metal Fencer, different trap, as well as Fencer, a Bakugan, so I guess that does make sense. But anyway, Pyrus, the other attribute in here is Aquas, so pretty cool. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and transform this thing. I will do that off camera. Let me know if I need to make another video to show the transformation process. There are already some videos of that, but if I should make one, I guess let me know. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and transform this thing, and then I will showcase it. Alright, I have Maxus Dragonoid fully assembled, and this thing looks crazy. So there are two ways to assemble this, which I will show the second way in a bit, but this is the first way, and Spider Fencer is on the back. You can see its claws kind of just sticking out over the back of Neo Dragonoid there. Yeah, this thing is a very large figure, and yet almost wants to just fall over when I'm spinning it around, but yeah, so this thing is pretty crazy. And yeah, literally the only downside I could see is that sometimes if you move it too far back it might want to tip over, but For a display piece, it doesn't do that if you're like messing with it, which I don't really imagine kids nowadays would be messing with this. Again, it's 16 years old. But as like a figure, it works fine. You can kind of move the parts around in the pegs, which I think is a solid playability feature as well. But nowadays, its main purpose is sort of as a displayable piece, I would say. And yeah, it does do that very well. I think unquestionably this is the best fusion we've ever gotten in Bakugan. At least on a large scale. I know some of these smaller scale fusions are pretty good, such as Volchaos, which I'm shocked something like that came out of Actinium Surge with how good it is, but Maxus Dragonoid is definitely better than Maxus Helios in my opinion. Also, while I do like Dragonoid and Dark Colossus, those just have hub pieces that are just large pieces of plastic which aren't playable. And beyond that, like, the Destroyers are just terrible, especially Octavius Destroyer. That was a horrible fusion. And while I do like Geoforged Dragonoid and Ultimate Villock from the reboot, they do feel a bit more clunky and awkward. I feel like this just really looks good and works well. I mean, obviously, yeah, it is clunky and awkward as well. You can only expect so much from a fusion of a Bakugan and 6 traps. However, even if it's kind of awkward, it does look very cool. So anyway, let me go ahead and change this thing's mode and put Spider Fencer on the arm here, and we can see what that looks like. And here is the other mode of Maxus Dragonoid, and yeah, it does look a little bit awkward like this, I will say, but it's still cool that you have kind of this extra mode to just mess around with. And, yeah, definitely a little bare, I guess. I guess you have 2 of these things, though. It can get pretty crazy, but... Or maybe even 3. I'm pretty sure you could attach it here as well. So I guess you have like 3 spider fencers for whatever reason. You could just put one here, and then on the back and just go crazy, but it's probably a little bit overkill. But yeah, this is a very interesting setup. Not bad, but I do probably prefer the other one, so let's go ahead and just change it back. Alright, there we go. Now we're back to this mode, which, yeah, probably looks a little bit better. So overall, I don't really have many complaints here. The only real downside is the thing where it just kind of falls backwards, which, honestly, maybe I'm doing something wrong, who knows, but aside from that, yeah, this thing is really cool. Honestly shocked we got something this good in, like, Season 2 of Bakugan, and we never really got anything to this level again, in my opinion. Again, any other fusion after this on a large scale does feel clunkier on this. I don't know how they just nailed this first try and haven't really exceeded it. I know there's the leaked Gen 3 fusion as well that just never came out since, you know, Gen 3 died, but that was nowhere near this thing, so this is definitely still the best large-scale fusion combiner, whatever you want to call it. Very cool looking piece. And yeah, it did take me 16 years to actually obtain it somehow. I mean, with the Bakugan collection I have, you'd probably expect me to have this way sooner, but nope, just somehow did not happen till now. But I finally have it, can finally make a video on it. Maybe it's for the best, because had I made a video on this, it doesn't tend to be abysmal, but anyway. I think that's really all for this video. It's not like a crazy look at this thing or anything, I just want to make a video on it to just talk about it, showcase it a bit. Again, if I need to make a second video going over the assembly of it, let me know, I guess. There are already some pretty good videos on that topic, but I guess I could do my own at some point. But anyways, that's all, so thanks for watching, and bye-bye.